When you stop exercising, how quickly your heart rate drops tells you a lot about your health and how long you'll live. It's called heart rate recovery, and the research shows that if yours is slow, your risk of dying roughly doubles. In this video, I'll explain how it works, what a good number looks like for your age, how to improve it, and I'll give my honest verdict on whether it's worth tracking. Plus, one really surprising fact that I still can't quite believe. I'm Dr. Eoghan Colgan. I've been a doctor in the NHS for 25 years. Medical school taught me nothing about this, so I do my own investigating. Let's get into it. When you exercise, your muscles need more oxygen and nutrients so they can work harder. So your heart rate speeds up to match what the muscles need. And that's controlled by your sympathetic nervous system, the same system that manages your fight or flight response. Adrenaline is released, accelerating the heart, pushing more blood to the muscles. It's your heart's accelerator pedal. When you stop exercising, your muscles no longer need so much blood, so your heart slows back down. And this is controlled by the parasympathetic nervous system, specifically the vagus nerve, your heart's brake pedal. Now, in a healthy person, that brake is fast and strong. Your heart rate drops sharply in the first 60 seconds. But if you're deconditioned or you have underlying health problems, that brake is sluggish and your heart rate comes down slowly. How quickly your brake works, the speed your heart rate slows within 1 minute of stopping exercise, is what heart rate recovery measures. So why does it matter? Here's what the evidence shows. The landmark study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1999. Over 2,400 adults, average age 57, followed for 6 years. If heart rate dropped slowly by only 12 beats per minute or fewer in the first 60 seconds after exercise, the risk of dying roughly doubled. So for example, if your heart rate was 152 beats per minute at the end of your workout, but only 140 beats per minute after 1 minute, that would be slow. And the link between slow heart rate recovery and mortality has been confirmed by multiple large studies in the 25 years since. Now, one important detail, that 12-beat number comes from a specific protocol. After completing their exercise, the patients continued to walk slowly as part of the cool down. If you were to sit or lie down immediately after exercise, your heart rate would drop more quickly because blood returns to your heart more easily. It's not working against gravity, and you're in a more rested state. So if you stop and sit, that concerning threshold would be higher, around 18 beats at 1 minute. But most people naturally keep moving after exercise, even lightly, so the walking benchmarks are the most relevant for you. Now, no formal guidelines exist, but I'm going to present a reasonable guide based on the largest studies. But two things to note. First, heart rate recovery naturally gets slower as we age, and you may also come across 2-minute or 3-minute recovery values on some watches. The principle is the same. Faster recovery is better, but I'll focus on 1-minute recovery here as it's the most widely studied and the most cited in the research. In your 40s, a drop of around 20 to 35 beats per minute would be average. Below 18 is worth paying attention to. In your 50s, 18 to 30 is typical. Below 15 is worth noting. In your 60s, 15 to 25 and below 12 warrants attention. And in your 70s, 12 to 20 and below 10 is the concern zone. If you have an existing condition like diabetes, hypertension, or heart disease, your heart rate recovery will likely be a bit lower, and the benchmarks I've given may not apply to you in the same way. If you're on beta blockers or other medications that affect your heart rate, the same applies. The key is less about comparing yourself against others, but tracking your individual trend. More on that shortly. So how do you measure your heart rate recovery? Well, there are broadly speaking two ways. The first is to do it yourself. Do some vigorous aerobic exercise, hard enough that you're properly out of breath, and then note your heart rate at peak exertion using a smartwatch if you have one, or you could do it manually, but that's a little bit trickier. Then walk slowly, don't sit down, just a gentle walk, and after 60 seconds, check your heart rate again. The difference between those two numbers is your heart rate recovery. The second way is to let your smartwatch measure it in the background. But there's one practical consideration. To do this properly, you need to press end workout at peak exertion, the moment you stop exercising maximally and before you start cooling down. The watch then measures the drop from that point. Not a major deal, but it's easy to forget to do it. If you end your workout a few minutes after you stopped, recovery has already happened and your heart rate recovery will appear artificially low. And this is what makes heart rate recovery different from your other fitness metrics. Your resting heart rate variability, and VO2 max are measured passively in the background on your smartwatch. You don't have to do anything, so less prone to false readings. Now, a quick fascinating fact about heart rate recovery: you might presume that having blocked arteries to your heart would be the strongest predictor of whether you die from heart disease. But a study of nearly 3,000 patients who had direct imaging of their coronary arteries found that heart rate recovery predicted death more strongly than the severity of the blockages themselves. How well your nervous system controls your heart matters as much, if not more, than how clear your arteries are. Now for some good news: you can improve your number. Importantly, all of these fitness metrics, including heart rate recovery, are simply a reflection of your underlying health. It's not the number that matters. Your lifestyle is the thing that matters. Improve your lifestyle and the number will improve. And these are the factors that make the biggest difference. The most effective intervention by far is regular aerobic exercise. Walking, cycling, dancing, swimming, any movement that raises your heart rate and gets you out of breath, and done consistently. The research shows that people with abnormal heart rate recovery can normalize it within around 12 weeks of regular moderate exercise. And you can start seeing improvements within just 3 to 6 weeks. Weight loss also improves the number, but it's difficult to know if it's the weight loss alone or the exercise and lifestyle change used to lose the weight. Sleep matters too. Your parasympathetic system, the brake we talked about, is suppressed when you're sleep deprived, so improving sleep will improve your number, as will improving stress levels. When you're stressed, your accelerator pedal, the sympathetic system, is more switched on. And don't read too much into any single reading. Dehydration, caffeine, a bad night's sleep can all throw your number off on any given day. Track your trend over weeks, not daily. So over the past 10 months, I've been gradually improving my own lifestyle. My aerobic exercise is walking on a treadmill with speed and incline. All of my fitness metrics have shown a steady, gradual improvement, except for heart rate recovery, which at first went up from 30 to 43 in the first 5 months. Brilliant, but has dropped right back down again. And I think this is a great example of the one major flaw with this metric. It is not fully automatic or passive like the others, and because I didn't fully appreciate this metric and how it worked, I've recently been continually forgetting to turn off my workouts, when at first I was strict about it. And so it has artificially lowered my readings. I manually tested my heart rate recovery this morning and it was 41, which I suspect is more accurate. If you'd like to find out more about how I lost over 19 kilograms, reversed my metabolic age by 7 years, and improved all of my fitness metrics, there's a free guide link in the pinned comment and description below. So is heart rate recovery worth paying attention to? Well, there is good science that it's a strong reflection of your underlying fitness, but it'll never factor into my thinking in the emergency department. What matters more to me is your underlying lifestyle. But for you, the metric could be useful if used in the following way. First, to give you an estimate of your current level of fitness. Then, to motivate you to take action if you find you are average or below average. And finally, it's a useful way to then measure your progress, not day-to-day changes, not comparing yourself to others, but just your own trend over time as you make positive lifestyle changes, especially more aerobic exercise. And hopefully watching it trend upwards will keep you inspired and motivated to stick with it. But if tracking it stresses you out, let it go. Go for a walk instead. That walk is doing more for your heart rate recovery than any amount of number checking will. Do you track your heart rate recovery? Do you find it helpful or stressful? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing real world experience. If you want to understand the other key heart metrics your watch tracks, resting heart rate variability, and VO2 max, I've done deep dives on each. Click the link on screen now. And click subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. I cover health and longevity topics, no hype, just the practical science. Until next time, take care.